And then will the podium be okay?
That's fine. I'm not a Thanks for joining. Welcome. What time is it? What time is it? What time is it? Showtime? It's showtime at the coffee time. It's the time of the day. We read some stories, sing some oldies, drive our cars away. It's showtime at the coffee time. We lift you up for a while, but we can't do it. You gotta hop to it. Put on a great big smile. There's photographs and belly laughs and try some games to play. And sometimes we get serious, but we don't stay long that way. So grab a donut and fill your cup and start to loosen up. Put a smile on your face in a happy place, and we'll go on with the show. Well, let's see. Wade? I knew you were there. I was just kidding.
Sue, I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. A little more pep in the step this morning. Fredbird must be coming in. All right, the first thing I wanted to ask you all is, what do you all think about Sue's shirt back there? I knew she'd get that response. She doesn't care, though. A couple Friendship Village things, and then we got some exciting videos to show you. The first thing I wanted to mention again, we are 100% sold once again. So here at Chesterfield. So I wanted to tell you all, I was trying to get the marketing team in here today, but they're at a conference today. So I wanted to share with you some statistics for the 2026 fiscal year so far. So they've done 587 tours. They've made 3,275 phone calls. They've emailed 10,017 emails. Isn't it amazing they got it down to 17 too? They've had 38 move-ins. We've had 38 move-ins this year, and we've had 33 move-outs this year. So 100% sold, but there's a whole lot of work that goes into that. So, and you all are our best marketers, by the way, too. So thank you for that. One other thing is, as you know, the master plan is moving along slowly, but one of the pieces of that master plan that some of you have known about is the Downtown Chesterfield project. That is no longer part of our plan. So the real reason for that was a plan to have a 55 and over apartment complex really run a little different than how we run things. There would have been no life care contracts and things like that. But we wanted exclusivity as the only senior community in there, and the group would not give that to us, so we decided to pull out because you never know. We would build a nice complex, and then Cedarhurst would build right next to us, and we didn't want that. So, all right. So the first thing I'd like, and I think we're queued up here, we have a video, and I wanted to share with you all. Our security team goes above and beyond, don't they? They're a really good team. Robert's over there. I asked him to come in to see us today, but he sent me this video. But I wanted to show you all what we do in security to go above and beyond. So if you look, hold on just a second. Sorry, Jerry. If you look up on the above the door, there's a little black thing on the left-hand side. Do you see all that? Do you all see that? A little black? That's a bat. And that bat decided to come in and see us one evening. But here's Batman Dan. And we'll go ahead and cue up the video, and I'll show you how brave he is. And there it goes. Do you see how brave he was? He didn't. He was still running when he. But that bat actually flew out the door. So that was one thing. And as you know, Fox 2 News, we've got our next video. Fox 2 News did a nice segment on Edgar, our dog, and I thought that I'd share this with you. Some of you have seen it, but we'll go ahead and cue that up. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. Here, I'll step out of the way. Boo. Yeah. I tell you what, while they're queuing that up, I'll go on to my trivia question. All right. So, Fred Bird is here today. I need the exact year of Fred Bird's first baseball game. What year was that? Not 70, not 78, not 66, not 74. No 63. Jerry was close. 79. 1979. And Jerry, you get a can of chicken noodle soup. All right. Well, I've got one more better prize. I seen a Bob Gibson jersey out there. There it is, right there, yeah. What was Bob Gibson's best ERA and the reason why the mound was lowered after that season? 1.12. And look at this nice gift that you get. Was that Dave that got that? Okay, Dave. There you are, Dave. Sorry, Jerry, you got chicken noodle soup, but. All right, we ready to go? Okay.
Friendship Village is packed. There are hallway visits to make, friends to check in on, and of course, a stop at the ice cream counter for a pop cup. Oh, he still needs a little more. The French Bulldog has become a familiar sight around the Chesterfield senior living community, slowly waddling from room to room, usually drawing smiles. He is all our pets. Let's put it in that term. He loves all of us, and we love him. And that's why he's the village dog. You're the village dog, right? Completely. May not say much. His presence speaks for itself.
He makes everybody feel good. You know, he comes up to you, and he just likes to be with people. And so, you know, he makes you, and whenever you see him and anybody sees him, everybody gets a smile on their face.
Doctors say those small moments of connection matter more than people realize.
An increased risk for depression, an increased risk for cognitive changes, and keeping these connections and decreasing that social isolation is really what's important with our older population. And these pets really do help them have a connection, have a companionship. There's something they can talk to that they don't expect a response from. It keeps them engaged. It gives them a purpose in life.
And maybe that's part of Edgar's appeal. He's not performing tricks. He's not rushing anywhere. He just shows up in style. Companionship can take many forms, and sometimes the smallest connections leave the biggest mark. In Chesterfield, Carolyn Kennedy, Fox 2 News.
Wasn't that a great video? Edgar likes snacks too, you can tell. That's all I have for everyone. Any questions for me? All right, thank you all.
Well, happy Baseball Monday, everyone. We thought it'd be fun to just celebrate the season. In just a few minutes, we'll have Ed Wheatley here. He's a Cardinals fan and historian. He'll be speaking for about 20 to 30 minutes here. And he is an author of multiple award-winning books, and so he'll talk about some of those. And then, of course, the highly anticipated Fred Bird. He'll come in about 10:45, and that's when we'll do some of our best dress contests. And then after coffee hour ends, we'll have some time time out there in the Trillium with a photo booth backdrop if you'd like some pictures with him. So I also hope everybody had a happy Mother's Day weekend, and thank you to the ladies that made it to our Bloomin' Brunch last week. If you got one of the glamour photos, please check your in-house mailbox so you can select which final print you would like and return it to the concierge by the end of the day today. As far as our activities for this week, this afternoon we have a 1 p.m. safety and security meeting in the Trillium Loft Conference Room. And then the writers group will meet at 1 p.m. in the Wellness Studio. We will not have paper crafting with Madge this week, so that is canceled. Our blood pressure clinic from 1 to 3 will actually take place in the game room this afternoon. And then we will have our drama group as usual practicing at 2 p.m. in the theater. Tomorrow, May 12th, we will have putting golf at 9 a.m. Let's see, Dave, is that inside or outside? Outside tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And then our facilities meeting will take place at 11 a.m. tomorrow in the Trillium Loft meeting room. This week, we do have a presentation on the women of the colonial era, tying in with Mother's Day month and also our America 250 coming up. That was scheduled for Thursday, but we've had to move it up due to the presenter to tomorrow. So tomorrow, May 12th at 2 p.m., Women of the Colonial Era presentation. And that presentation will be done by Amanda Clark from the History Museum, so she'll have a lot of neat information to share with you. Wednesday, May 13th, just letting you know the aqua arthritis at 11 a.m. is canceled, but we will have our normal 12:45 bochi. And then the economy with Fred at 2 o'clock is canceled for this week. On Thursday, May 14th, this past week we started our first part of the photography series, learning how to use digital and technology to take better photos. And that's with Dave Moore from the St. Louis County Library. So the second part of the series will be Thursday at 2 o'clock in the theater. If you missed the first one, though, feel free to come and join us and pick up some more tips and tricks. Last week as well, we also introduced Wii Bowling, thanks to Carol Barnowski. She was kind of our advocate for that. So we'll be playing Thursdays at 3 o'clock in the Wellness Studio. It's very fun, very easy, some little friendly competitions, so join us for that. On Friday, May 15th, the month of May is actually Stroke Awareness Month, and so Mary Bowler will be giving a presentation at 11 a.m. in the theater on stroke awareness and signs and symptoms to recognize. And then our line dancers will perform at 1 o'clock in the Wellness Studio, or practice, I should say. On Friday night, we have entertainment, and it ties right into what we're doing this morning, but it will be a baseball-themed magic show by magician Jeff Lefton. So again, that's 7 o'clock on Friday night. Saturday, May 16th, wanted to remind you about Fix It Saturdays at 10 a.m. So if you have something that's broken, stop by the wood shop, and they should be able to fix it for you. And then Marlene Bake will be doing her 10:30 continuing education on Saturday, and it will be on Route 66. As you know, we just celebrated the 100th anniversary. And of course, bingo will take place at 6 o'clock Saturday and Mexican train at 6:30. Just a few other general reminders of things coming up. May 21st at noon is our volunteer recognition luncheon for all of you wonderful volunteers that help us with a variety of things. So if you are a volunteer, we encourage you to sign up at the concierge desk so we can get a count for food. We'll have a nice plated lunch provided by our food and beverage department. We will have a live acoustic duo here to perform. We'll have a picture slideshow and other little take-home gifts for you as well. So our theme is making the ordinary extraordinary. And then on May 22nd, we're doing a spring tune-up chair massages. Those were pretty popular the first time we did them back in January. So if you're feeling a little stiff again and you need a tune-up, our massage therapist will be here May 22nd. And there are 15-minute time slots on a sign-up sheet at the concierge. It's $10 per massage, and that'll just go right on your statement. And then if you are participating in our day trip along Route 66, so we already did advanced signups for those, that is on June 4th. You should have received a lunch menu and a dinner menu in your in-house mailbox. If you did not, you can grab one from the concierge, but please fill those out and turn them in by May 15th so we can get all of that all set and make it a smooth, fun day for you. In addition, just a few reminders for transportation this week. A group is out today touring the Magic Chef Mansion. On May 13th, we have our normal 9:30 Schnucks run and our 12 o'clock Walgreens. And then on May 15th, we have 9:45 Trader Joe's and noon Shops in the Valley. Bert, did you have any announcements?
Just a couple of things. Good morning. Good to be with all of you today. For the last several years, the chaplain department here at Friendship Village has had a wonderful partnership with a ministry out of Illinois called African Vision of Hope. If you've been here in past years, you might remember in June we have filled hundreds of backpacks for their schools over in Zambia. Many children are orphaned, many are found in poverty, and African Vision of Hope works exclusively with those kids to help provide them a Christ-centered education right through the collegiate level. Today they have over 8,000 students across 8 different schools. And this year we're once again putting together backpacks. We'll have a date in June, the 3rd Thursday of June, that we'll set all of that up here in the theater, and we'll ask you to come help us fill those. If you'd like to help pay for them, we could use your help. It's about $35 a backpack. We're planning to fill 250 of them. And so you can make out any checks you like right to the chaplain's fund, and we'll use that to help put together that whole project. On the 27th of this month, in the chapel, there will be a representative from African Vision of Hope with us to give us all the updates and things that have happened through their program over the last year. That's in the chapel. I encourage you to come out and be a part of that. And then finally, I just want to say happy belated Mother's Day to all the moms that are in the room, and the grandmas and the great-grandmas. At our service yesterday, we gave out to the ladies in attendance a little short reflective journal that's meant to give encouragement. It's a little pen set. It's 26 days of encouragement. If you want one, I do have a few extras, and I've just put them over on the corner of the stage over there. Feel free to pick one up before you leave today. Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks, Bert. Did anybody have any announcements or feedback? Yes.
Creative writing today.
Okay, creative writing, 1 o'clock, is that right? Okay, 1 o'clock. Any other in the back? Okay, is it 4 o'clock? Okay. Trivia on Sunday at 4 o'clock, so make sure you join us. I thought I saw a hand over here. Pete?
I just noticed the other day that the paint in the bottom of the swimming pool is beginning to peel. Are we going to do anything about that?
Yeah, so Pete was asking about the paint on the bottom of the swimming pool. I believe we have it in our capital request. So to have them look at it, they'd have to resurface it and drain the pool and everything. So we do have it on the radar. It'll take a little time. Right, you don't want to paint with the water in the pool. Anything else? All right, well, let's go through our birthdays for this week. May 11th, we have Mike Ricketts. Mary Jo Tedeschi. May 12th, Jimmy Hart. May 14th, Nancy Hall. May 16th, Patty Deck and Linda Dill, along with Armilda Follick. And May 17th, Anna Daves and Dottie Zeller. So let's wish them a very happy birthday. Did you want me to introduce the speaker, or will you take care of it? Are you sure? Is Carla doing exercise today? Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to welcome up Ed Wheatley. Again, he's a big Cardinals fan, historian, and author, so let's give him a warm Friendship Village welcome.
Can I stand on the stage or down here? No. I'll just come up here, you can see a little better, and I can hide and show you some things. I'm not a podium hugger when I give talks all over the country. These are a few of the 8 books that I've written in the last 10 years. People ask how did I get in this. I grew up in baseball. My dad played pro baseball. I played baseball all my life. I still do. And I'll play over 100-something senior league tournaments all over the country. I just came back last week from Asheville, North Carolina, winning one, and we won the Fall World Series, Senior World Series. What I try to do in retirement is just bring back the memories. How many people, been to Cardinal games down at Sportsman's Park, not the Bush 2, Bush 3? How many went to a Browns game? See, they're still out there. That's where I kind of, my genre. That Browns book up there was my first book. It was picked as the best book published in baseball. Several of the others have received top 10, top 15 published books. And they range from everything. During the pandemic, I went and did that crazy story on the wrestling at the Chase. And, it was a thing everybody remembered. A lot of you aren't going to raise your hand if I said how many were wrestling at the Chase fans, because they don't want to holler about it. But, the thing about these films, all these books have led to Emmy-winning films for me, for PBS. I do films for PBS as well from my books. And, that's a big honor. But the best thing is taking it out all across the country to people like you, to rekindle those memories of you, because it's always good time when you're talking baseball. So one of the other things, let's go to the next slide. I don't have a clicker here, but my newest book just came out less than a month ago. It's already picked up recognitions and awards from across the country in just a week. I'll be headed to the Hall of Fame to speak. I've spoke multiple times in Cooperstown. And you can see Ozzie and I just did a big book signing out in Rawlings at the Westport. Mason Wynn and I are going to do one there in a couple of weeks. It's pretty cool, Bob Casas, beautiful design, excellent accompanying text. He's called me, wrote me all about how much he loved it. And then the other day, I get a letter in the mail from a guy who says, well, you can't read it because something in there. As a baseball fan, I love this book, President George W. Bush. So, that's plus all the players. But anyway, let's go to the next slide and talk about, St. Louis is known as baseball heaven. Best baseball town in America. My buddy Bob Costas, again, he says we are the best in the town. And if you go to, this is a thing that hangs out on the scoreboard, pops up every game, and calling Bush Stadium Bush 3, and I still can't call Bush 1 Sportsman. It's Sportsman's Park to me because that's where I grew up. The next slide, real quick, is best baseball fans in America. We are the best baseball fans, and now these guys are really playing, and I've gotten to know Chaim Bloom really, really well and believe and talk to him all the time. This team is going to be great. You give it another year or two, they got something. Their minor leagues team is the best in baseball in the minors, and the excitement is going to fill Busch Stadium. So we are the best baseball fan, but how much do you really know about baseball? Next slide, buddy. Baseball is a 160-year evolution in our town. Anybody around for that first game 160 years ago? I opened up one of my books, this book, Baseball in St. Louis, this orange one here. It's about the history of baseball in St. Louis. Got a lot of awards or whatever, but I opened it up from, how many saw the movie Bull Durham? Yeah, Kevin Costner and all that. It opens up with Susan Sarandon walking on a Sunday morning, and you hear the church bells, and her narrative is, I've tried them all, I really have, and the only church that truly feeds the soul day in and day out is the church of baseball. She doesn't go left to the church, she goes right to the stadium. Next slide, bud. Because baseball is the religion of St. Louis, and opening day is our national holiday. To be downtown and see the floods. We were doing a pregame press conference television thing, 8 o'clock opening day, and it was already packed all over downtown for a 1 o'clock game. It's unbelievable to be down there every year. So let's go to the next one. So, as I said, 160 years, a timeline that goes back prior to the Civil War. And it's all these facts, I just pulled things out of multiple books to give you a clue. And you can't read this, you can buy a book and read it, but you can see it here. So the next slide really lays this out. Baseball doesn't come from Cooperstown. It comes from Hoboken, New Jersey. The whole thing about Cooperstown, finding a ball that said this was the first Andrew Doubleday and all that, it's a bunch of malarkey. Mike Shannon, I kept telling him, it's not old Abner done it again, it's old Alexander. Alexander Cartwright created the game in 1846 in Hoboken, New Jersey. And they've got it all documented. They found the papers. And I have spoken in Cooperstown a lot, multiple times, been up there other times when I speak. And they finally changed the Hall of Fame field there to say the truth. This was not the right place. It was created, so they've updated it. Now, in St. Louis, the first game, recorded game by the professional rules of Alexander Cartwright, happened in 1860, July 1860. You go, whoa, that's a long time ago, right? Yeah. Abraham Lincoln is not even president of the United States yet. He won't get to be president until elected in November 1860. The Civil War hasn't even been fought, but they've been playing baseball in St. Louis since 1860 at Fairground. How many people remember Fairgrounds Park there at Vandeventer and Grand and Natural Bridge? That's where the first games were played. Something about that little corner and stuff. How many went to Beaumont? Anyone? Beaumont, the baseball factory. More men in the major leagues in the late 40s and early 50s from Beaumont High School than any other high school in the country. Beaumont High School was the site of the Cardinals field. Robeson Field was on that at Natural Bridge and Vandeventer. It burned down. And I said, it burned down because it was the last wooden grandstand in the major leagues. You know what? Why did it burn down? What did men do in those days? They smoked cigars all the time, kept throwing them down. Boom, the catcher's on fire. I said it must have been the ash that got into the water that made all those Beaumont players great, because Beaumont was known throughout the country as the baseball factory. But anyway, 1860, right there, it all starts right around Fairgrounds Park. And this is Alexander Cartwright, not Abner Doubleday. Abner Doubleday was nowhere near Cooperstown when they said it happened in 1839. He was out fighting Indians. He was in the military. And this is in the Civil War, Courier Ives print of Union soldiers in a Confederate prisoner of war camp playing baseball. So, they didn't have photography, but they had Courier and Ives drawings. So that's how long it's been. And this year, 2026, is the 150th anniversary of the major leagues. And you're going to be seeing a lot of that on television. I've done put together some film with the Cardinals and Ozzie on pregame stuff about all this. I'm putting together an exhibit. Maybe they'll put together a trip down to the Missouri History Museum later this summer on the 150 years of baseball in St. Louis that I'm helping put together. So the next slide, this post-Civil War, baseball came about. You got to think about it. You guys didn't sit around, watch TV, listen to radios, go to movies, listen to records. There wasn't any of that stuff. Every once in a while there might be in the park somebody playing a band, playing music. But baseball took and swept the nation because it was something to do, something to watch. And it wasn't that hard to play. And, it evolved in church groups, playing church groups. It was factories. And it was the biggest form of entertainment. It was America's game, and still is. And what eventually happened was, it got better and better. It became from an amateur game to a professional game because they wanted to keep the good players. And that's how it evolved up until this time. And we had teams in St. Louis prior to 1876 when I said the major leagues were formed, the National League I'll talk about. The Red Stockings, the Brown Stockings. The Brown Stockings played at Sportsman's Park. That's where the first field was created, was there at Grand and Doty. The Red Stockings played over by the Metrolink thing right at Highway 40 in Compton on that land by the railroad tracks. That's where they played. And why were they called the Stockings? Because that's how teams were named, by the color of their socks and the piping on their uniforms. Not by their hats, because in those first days, each of the 9 positions had a different color hat. So it's great stories that we've been writing about all these years. Let's go to the next one real quick. So 1848, Hoboken, New Jersey, the first game in St. Louis. 1860. 1869 is the first professional team in Cincinnati, the Red Stockings. That's why Cincinnati always has the first game, because they were like the first grade. And they went out and signed players, and they became the first all-contracted team in America. And they went around doing all these tours. As I said, the St. Louis Brown Stockings and Red Stockings were part and involved. Cincinnati made a grandiose tour here to St. Louis. In 1876, the National League was formed because they wanted to take all these teams that were playing all across the country and get consistent rules, consistent schedules, and consistent operations. So the 1876 was formed. Next one, buddy. And how many teams has St. Louis? Anybody know how? I don't have a can of soup or anything, but how many major league teams has St. Louis had? 3? 2? Do I hear 4? There are 4. We also had 4 NFL teams, 2 NHL teams, 2 NBA teams, 1 ABA team. Somebody wrote about that too, in a different part of why we are the greatest, most diverse sports city in America. But we've had 4 major league teams. Okay, let's turn. In 1876, that first year of the National League, we had a team called the Brown Stockings. This thing about Browns and Brown Stockings just is like a cat with 9 lives in baseball history in St. Louis. But we had the Brown Stockings. That doesn't look like a hurly-burly bunch of baseball players, does it? And they only played through 1877. They got kicked out of league because of gambling and game fixing. Kind of something that's in the news now, isn't it? History repeats itself. So they got kicked out. But St. Louis was in love with baseball. And they were a decent team, but not a great team. And during this period, other teams were getting kicked out as well because this gambling thing. They will eventually leave, the 8 men out with the White Sox in 1919 and all that. So we don't have baseball after 1877 in the major leagues, but there was a beer man. Next slide. A beer man by the name of Chris Von der Eye. Anybody ever heard that name? It's kind of popular in our St. Louis a little. He was a German immigrant. He was a beer man. Seems like we like a lot of beer men like baseball. Like 100 years later, another guy. He figured they will watch baseball because they're all day games and get hot and they'll drink beer. So he created the American Association. These are teams that were not in the National League. The American League's not here yet. We'll get to that in a minute. But he creates the St. Louis Browns in the American Association, all these teams. And people loved it. They loved it because, A, they served beer during his games, and 2, they played a faster game, and they played on Sundays. The National League was very puritanical. No beer, we don't play on Sundays. American Association does. The interesting thing about this team was they played for 10 years. After each year, starting in 1882, the National League, the Major League National Leagues, would play the American Association champion. Kind of like a World Series. They didn't call it the World Series. They called it the Championship Series. And the St. Louis Browns, you can see they won 4 of the 10 years. And they are the only team to beat a National League team. They were very, very good. Again, the love and the history builds in St. Louis. Okay? And it's going to take the storm. But before I go to the next line, I got to talk about this. For the lady in the back, wearing the uniform of the bad guys, the Chicago White Stockings were in the National League. You know what they are today? The Cubs. They changed their names to the Cubs. The Cubs were originally the White Stockings. And the rivalry where we like to kick their butts happened right here. This first one happened in a tie because the games got so rowdy and it was getting dark and there was a couple fights, so they just said the game's over, everybody tied. Next year, St. Louis comes back and teaches Chicago a lesson. So it all starts right there in 1885-86. So the next slide. So if you can't beat them in the National League, hey, we can't beat these guys. These guys are good. What do? You don't beat them, you join them. So in 1892, they'll bring the Browns into the St. Louis, into the major leagues, into the National League. They had tried our number 2, the St. Louis Maroons, the major leagues, the National League tried to bring a team into St. Louis in 1885 and 1886 to compete because everybody was filling up the American Association Browns Stadium. They didn't serve beer again, and they didn't play on Sundays, and nobody went. So that was our number 2 major league team. They folded because of financial reasons. Nobody went there. They wanted to be over at the Browns. So in 1892, go ahead, the Browns entered the National League. You can't beat them, join them. And they came in, and they were a good team. But the trouble with the Cardinals are, this team will become the Cardinals. But from 1892 to 1898, Fredbird should be dressing in his Browns outfit because they were known as the Browns. And when they got a new ownership and Von der Eye sold it to the Robeson brothers, they changed the name to Perfectos. Anybody ever hear of the Perfectos or the Maroons? Yeah, the Perfectos. But they changed their color from the brown stockings and the Browns uniform to that lovely shade of cardinal red. And everybody in the newspapers and the fans started calling the Perfectos the Cardinals, and it stuck. And that is how the Cardinals we love and root for today act and are known as the Cardinals. But if you look at the history books, it says no, those first years they were the Browns, not the Browns that come in the American League. So this is our history. So another one, let's go to the next slide. In 1901, the American League is formed because baseball is so popular. St. Louis is the fourth largest city in America in 1901. Fourth largest. Today we're like 21, 26, depending on which poll you look at and how you demographically size it. But we don't have a team in the American League in 1901, but there's a team in Milwaukee called the Brewers, a name we know well. So in 1902, go ahead and switch it, bud. In 1902, the Browns moved from Milwaukee to St. Louis, the fourth largest town in America, because we were big like Philadelphia, Boston, Chicago, and New York, and we could support two teams. You know, the National League Cardinals are over there, still playing today. And the Browns played here until 1953 was the last season, and they moved to Baltimore, and the Orioles today. Baltimore Orioles has nothing to do with the Browns. They said the Browns died. They were buried west of the Mississippi. Their legacy did not come. And I am president of the St. Louis Browns Historical Society and Fan Club. We have about 1,000 members across the nation. I'll fill up next month the MAC downtown for our 42nd time sellout crowd of over 400 people honoring the Browns. They don't do that for the Brooklyn Dodgers, New York Giants, Philadelphia A's, or the Boston Braves. Those teams are that relocated from the 50s. But in St. Louis, because this is the best fans, we still show up. Also, in another month, I will fill up the Grizzly Stadium right across the river, where we have Browns Night at the Grizzlies, a minor league team, where I dress them up as a year and highlighting a player like Satchel Paige, Roy Sievers, all those guys, George Sisler. We'll sell out the stadium. So people still remember, just like many of you raise your hands, the Browns. So we had two teams, but like everything in suburban sprawl and changing lifestyles and other things happening, other sports coming in, it was best St. Louis has just one team. So let's go back here to next. But we don't want to forget about this period of time was a segregated time. And black baseball could not play with white baseball. It would not be until Jackie Robinson in April 15, 1947 crossed the color line and we had baseball. But prior to that, we had one of the greatest teams ever in Negro League history. And they were the St. Louis Stars. First year they had their name. They were the Giants. They had an ownership change, and they went from the Giants to the Stars. So we have the Stars, one of the greatest teams. Their star player was Cool Papa Bell. You remember him? Bill DeWitt put a statue out there. Bill DeWitt's a great guy. He's a good friend of mine. You know, you go down there, the only stadium, and I've been to all the stadiums, some 3 generations, all that, the statues outside Bill, he added him and George Sisler from the Browns. So Cool Papa Bell and George Sisler have statues there because they're honoring the history. And I think that's a tremendous thing for Mr. DeWitt. So the next slide, see, I could talk about this for 5-6 hours at a time. What do you really know? Let's see what you guys really know. And I'm giving you the answers instead of asking the questions coming back. Let's go to the next one real quick. You know, I did a book down here, a kid's book that, you know, every year I talk to about 10,000 kids on how to write well and read using this children's book. And it's about the guys on the wall, the numbers on the wall, okay? These are the best. That made St. Louis Cardinals the second best baseball team. Only the Yankees have won more World Series, okay? Hey, don't spit your fat on the Yankees. I grew up, my dad was with the Yankees. Okay. My birth certificate says Yankees. It's all right. But I've always lived in St. Louis. I'm you know, But anyway, it's about these guys here. But you know what? There's only 13 guys on this wall. Let's go to the next slide. This was the book that is about the players on the left field wall so we can teach kids this history and tradition. So let's go to the next slide. There are 55 men. You know, there's 13 on the wall, but there's 55 men in the Hall of Fame that had ties to the Cardinals. Who are these other 40-something men? There's going to be another one here very shortly, next month, July, excuse me. That's a heck of a lot of players, the most in Major League Baseball. Go ahead, next slide. You know, there's 346 people in the Hall of Fame, 245 players, 28 from the Negro Leagues, 23 managers, 10 umpires, and 40 pioneers. 40 pioneers like owners, general managers like Branch Rickey and all that. And I can't say there were 346 men. Does anybody know who the lone woman is in the Hall of Fame? Effa Manley. She owned the Newark Eagles of the Negro League. So there is a woman in there, so you got to watch how you say. So let's go to the next slide. But in the 90 years, 1936 is when the first induction class happened. There have been 81 induction classes. That means 9 years they didn't vote anybody. Was it 2 years, 3 years ago? They didn't vote anybody in. But in those 81 induction classes, 54% of the classes had someone with St. Louis ties in the Hall of Fame. Let's go to the next one. The Cardinal franchises had 55. The Browns had 15. The Giants and Stars, the Negro Leagues, 5. And then there's St. Louis's own. The guys who grew up here, Yogi Berra, Earl Weaver, Dick Williams. Dick Williams was a longtime player and manager, Red Sox. 78 in total with St. Louis ties. So let's go to the next slide. That means 23% of the 346 men inducted have St. Louis ties. That means 1 out of every 5 men inducted has a St. Louis tie. Pretty amazing. And, you know, you can go through. I was so kind of ticked off about that one that I wrote this book here, From St. Louis to Cooperstown, that tells everybody about who all these are. And let's go to the next slide. And we also have inside the Hall of Fame, they're not inductees of the Hall of Fame. There's 2 wings. One is the broadcasters wing, and one is the writers wing. And we've got from broadcasters, we got 5 guys like Harry Carey, Jack Buck, Joe Garagiola, and more. And we've got writers in there. There's 4 of them. J. Roy Stockton, Bob Bragg, Rick Hummel, our late buddy here. And all these guys. We, in St. Louis, just have this foundation of baseball in our blood. So that's probably also why we changed to red, because we bleed baseball red, you know. But it's almost 10:45, and my buddy, who I know very well, is going to come in here. And there's a lot more to this story that maybe one day we'll come back and we can give you another half hour of this story. But I don't want you to lose Fred Bird, because when Fred Bird comes in, all heck goes crazy. Whether I bring him in with elementary kids or seniors, it's like an earthquake hits the room. So, excuse me, what's the question? Well, the Cardinals, they changed their color from brown to that lovely shade of cardinal red. And that's how they did it there in 1900. It just a newspaper, the sports writer kept calling them the Cardinals. And he actually took that from 2 ladies sitting right behind home plate next to him and said, "Isn't that a lovely shade of cardinal red?" And that kind of became a line for him to add on. Somebody else have a real quick question? Yes. I played a lot of baseball. This is a St. Louis Amateur Baseball Hall of Fame that I'm in. And I got a World Series ring, different things. I just pick whatever works with my outfit. But that's a Hall of Fame ring. Yes, ma'am. Any other have a real quick? Yes, ma'am.
You talked about Beaumont High School.
Yeah.
But I went to Normandy High School, and I understood that the players who played in Sportsman Park actually lived in Normandy.
Some of them, yeah, a lot of them did. Normandy, some of them lived right down the street.
You just take the bus.
Take the streetcar. Streetcar and bus. Hell, Dizzy Dean lived just like 2 blocks from Sportsman's Park. My dad would, as a kid, he'd be out there playing ball with him. But no, St. Louis players lived just that radius, 5, 6, 7 miles from Sportsman's Park. We've got another little last question. Anyone? Yes, sir.
How long did your dad play for the Yankees?
He played like 3 or 4 years, and he kept getting hurt every year. He broke his ankle on a drain like Mickey Mantle, who he was playing with, and then had to rebuild his ankle. Then he slid into third base on a triple in spring training, snapped it again. They broke it and rebuilt it, and they told him that he didn't think he could play 154 games because that's all they played in those days, not 162. But yeah, a lot of stories from that. But I've made my own stories, and I've written about everybody else's. So, but if watch the PBS. Or one night maybe Sarah said, come out here and bring your PBS films, and we can have a viewing of the films and answer some questions and look at them. So anyway, I don't know, Sarah, you ready? She said we're ready, so I guess you got to applaud, say, come on, Fredbird, or something. Fredbird, 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 Fredbird.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. Let's give Fred Bag a big welcome. Now that Fred Bag is here, it's time for our best dress contest, Cardinals contest. So if you are participating, please come to the front. All participants, please come to the front, and Fred Bad will help us pick a winner. Right.
has a song. Sarah will play a song from the phone. Sarah is gonna play a song. Don't play the piano, Sarah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine.
Yes. Yes. Let us take some pictures.
Any more contestants? Karen? JB? Yeah. You're fine. We need more contestants. I see a lot of Cardinals gear here.
Take me out with the crowd.
Buy me some peanuts,
It's okay.
Cracker Jack.
I don't care if we never get back.
Let me root
For the home team, if they don't win, it's a shame. So it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Nellie Kelly loved baseball games. Knew the players, knew all their names. You could see her there every day, shout hooray when they play. Her boyfriend by the name of Joe said to Coney, dear, let's go. And now he's starting to grit and pout.
Give her a shirt.
We give her a shirt. Susie, you want to join us up here? But you stand right there. No? Oh, thank you everyone for coming up front. Could you please tell us your name and what inspired your outfit?
Oh, I'm Sherry Mullins, and it's just lots of things put together over the years.
And do you have a favorite Cardinals player?
Oh, gosh. Probably Yachty. And
Thank you. What's your name and what inspired your outfit?
Barbara Richter, accumulated over the years. Yeah.
Great. And do you have a favorite Cardinals player?
Oh, so many. Yachty, yeah, maybe Yachty.
Thank you. What about you?
Barb Nelson and Yachty also. I mean, I think I have a Molina shirt on.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Thank you.
Gibson. I mean, there's so many. Ozzie Smith. There are just too many.
Thank you. Karen.
Yes, Karen Crone. I got this free at a Cardinals game about 20 years ago.
Do you have a favorite Cardinals player?
There's one just like it over there.
So we'll show you right here. Yes, that twins. He's just working on it.
Hi, I'm JB. I got my shirt from her.
Sounds good.
The Husky, and I also have a Molina jersey, but I would have to say probably Willie McGee is one of my favorites.
Good. Thank you. Jerry, your name and anything that inspired your outfit?
Jerry Eichholz. Number is in honor of Jackie Robinson. Favorite players, Stan Musial. Yachty Molina.
Thank you so much for participating. Fred, could you please help us pick a winner here? We can go number 1 from back here. And the crowd too. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. And number 6. I think we'll go for B. What do you think, Fred? What do you think?
I'm afraid what he's doing. You're behind me. I don't trust him behind me.
Uh-huh. B. Fred, here you go. Fred, you hand them the gift. So it goes to be. No. Oh. B, you have to go for your gift. I don't think Fred is ready to give it out.
Please?
Yeah. Yeah.
I cry if I don't get it.
A round of applause to all the contestants. Thank you all for coming. Next, we are about to do the best Fred dance move. Are you all ready? Fred Bad, are you ready to show us some moves? So you don't have to get up. You can stand up if you want to. You can do seated, clap your hands, just do the best moves you can. And Fred Bard, he will move around and pick the best dancer. Fred, you ready? All right, let's get the music going on, Sarah. Show us, everybody show us your moves. Clap your hands, you can stand up if you want to. Right, let's go. We need to get a winner. Clap your hands, get up if you can. So much. Fred, did you pick a winner? Who was your best dancer? You know. It can't be you. You have to pick your favorite dancer. One more? Two dancers? I was a dancer too. I watched you. Audrey, congratulations, Audrey. Not for you again. I'm sorry, Fred. Next time. Right. Audrey gets the gift. Once again, a round of applause for all our dancers. don't forget, Fred Bud will be taking pictures in the Trillium Atrium. And thank you, Fred Bud, so much for coming. Let's all again give him one big round of applause. Fred, even taller than you. Thank you so much. You all have a blessed week. Thank you.
What's that? They're on the corner of the stage up there. Actually, right here. I have one right here.
Here's the front right here.
Okay. Right there.
We'll find out next week.
All right.
That's pretty much got him. That's good. No, no. You got him. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Jules,
Yeah.
what's you have to hit a shutdown at the end?
Yeah. If you go here, you do a shutdown system there and shut down. Otherwise, these buttons won't work the next time.
Okay. Very good.